Welcome to Beyond the Box.
Our guests are insiders that are now out and on our side, dropping nuclear intel and breaking it down just for you.
And now it's time to introduce our hosts, Brenda Lankridge and Suzanne Haunt. Join us and subscribe for weekly shows. Beyond the Box begins now. Let's jump in.
Well, here we are again. The beginning of our weekend. Did things a little backwards, I think, this weekend. Well, but we're having a show Thursday and Friday because Saturday Suzy's going to be out at the what do you call that, Suzy?
Horse show.
Yeah, well,
sorting cows.
Sorting cows. Out there sorting cows.
Sorting.
Yes. So I decided to do Thursday and Friday. I don't know if I'm going to have a show on Saturday. We're going to see. I might do one. It all depends on how I feel. I've been so tired lately. Still, this is going on 2.5 weeks. And I'm not sick or anything. I'm just tired. And when I do sleep, I feel like I just hadn't slept. I don't know what's going on. Doctor says all my stuff looks good, so I don't know. Maybe it's just my age catching up to me. It could be that. I don't know. But Suzy's had some excitement down at her place yesterday.
Too much.
Yes. Denise asked how the dog's doing.
The horse's water, it broke, it froze. So we went to go fix that. And then another pipe broke. And so we were trying to fix 2 pipes. And we hear the dogs barking out in the woods. So Joel jumps in his truck and drives out there. And next thing I hear the dogs just going crazy out there. He calls me. He said, "Mom, you're going to have to call. We got to take my dog to the vet. She's bleeding everywhere." And I'm like, "What?" And they were attacking a hog. The dogs were on a hog. 2 of the neighbors' dogs were on it, and then my dogs got on it, and then so he had to run down the hill. The hog mauled Lucy, and then ripped her throat open up to her jaw, and it was pretty bad, and it was a lot of blood. And Joel had blood all over me. Got her in his truck. He drove to the gate. He was screaming. He got out of the truck. He was screaming. I was on the phone with the vet because the vet had already gone home, and they called the vet, and then by the time Joel got up here with the dog, the vet got on the phone. He says, "I'll be there." So I said, "I'll be there in like 10 minutes. I put my emergency blinkers on, and I drove as fast as I possibly could. I didn't run no red lights, but it didn't take us very long to get to the vet, and we pulled right up in front of the vet. I ran around, opened the door. He ran right through the door, right into the operating table. And we had a sheet wrapped around her. We had wrapped a sheet around her to stop the bleeding because she filled the whole sheet. It was gushing with blood. And it was all over the truck. It was all over Joel. It was all over me. It was all over the operating table, the floor. It was like all over all his instruments. I mean, it was blood everywhere. It was like some kind of crazy scene, And he gave her something, knocked her out pretty quick. And it was muscle and skin, and he sewed her up. But it was weird when she started waking up, apparently the drugs and like the vet and everybody there had told me she apparently thought she was still fighting the hog, because she just like went like a possessed monster. Like literally, she just went crazy on the table. She started flipping and trying to bite the vet, and then I tried to hold her. I was holding the back end of her. I was helping the vet. She was trying to get me and she was trying to get him. Like she was like just flipping around and yelling and crying and pain. And it was like the worst thing I ever saw. It was terrible. And then Joel heard her and came running in there, and she heard his voice, and he grabbed her and she calmed down. Oh, thank God, and he said, it just that I guess that happens sometimes when dogs come out of when they've
Yeah.
been traumatized, really, like, and she, like he said, she was thinking that she was still fighting the hog. Like that's was her reaction. Like she came out of it,
Yeah.
like, you know,
Yeah,
and
because when it first happened, she was like probably pretty dazed and kind of in
yes,
shock, and then
yes,
automatically was put under. And then when the medication, you imagine if you're highly medicated when you come out of surgery. I've had that, and you wake up and you're a little confused on where you are. So I can understand that happening. Poor baby.
yeah.
Yeah.
And the vet said, we did the right thing by well, he had to stop the bleeding because it was just, I mean, the sheet was just warm. I mean, it was gushing, and there was so much blood coming out of her everywhere. And he said we did the right thing, and that's stopped the bleeding. Worse than it, because he was. I said, do you think we're going to keep her here for the night, or do I take her home? He said, I'm still assessing her. He was working on her, and he said because it takes a little while after all the put her together, and he bandaged her head all up real good. He stitched the muscle and then her skin, and then he stapled her, you know.
Yeah.
And but well, that was a lot, for that poor dog. But and then Joel, oh my God, Joel's like after the vet got done, and Joel was picked her up, and he was cuddling her and holding her. He said, "Lucy, you look terrible. You look terrible, Lucy." And the vet just kind of, he's right by her. And then Joel goes, "Lucy, you look like shit." And the
Oh my God.
vet, he just laughed. And I was like, he's just looking at me, "You look like shit."
Poor Joel.
And I'm like, oh my God. Poor Lucy's face is all swelled up. And, it was just, and he said, "Mom, that was the most stress that I've ever felt in my whole life." He was he just didn't want to lose Lucy. He was like so freaked out.
Yeah. Yes, Norma. I would say yes because it also broke her collar off. So
Yeah,
yeah, the tusk got her.
yeah, yeah. He was okay. So when Joel first got there to the hill, he he saw all the dogs around the hog, and the older dogs kind of knew how to deal with it. And so Joel took a couple pictures. So he saw of it, and then he saw Lucy running down there, and he yelled for Lucy. He said, but Lucy couldn't hear him. Like she just kept running, and then she ran right in front of the hog, and the hog just saw her and plowed her and just run over and trampled her. And so he actually had clicked a picture of Lucy getting run over, and then he ran down there, to get her, and had to carry her up the hill because she was down there by the creek. So yeah, poor Lucy, she just, got in the way of a mad hog. And I told Joel, I said, you know what? The pig is the only animal that Jesus put demons into, I said,
Right.
just saying, I was freaking demon possessed hog, man. I don't know.
And the first thing I said, did somebody shoot that hog? That's what Denise asked. And she said, yeah, I think Roger went down and took care of it.
As I was going out the gate, when I opened the gate going out the gate, I heard a couple gunshots, and so I don't know.
And
I
I'll tell
didn't.
you this, by no means do we ever think that anybody should be killing animals. And Suzy is one of the biggest animal advocates that there are. But, however, wild hogs are extremely dangerous. I don't think people realize
Yeah,
how dangerous they actually are. And they will
yeah,
take down a grown man.
yes,
So,
they will hurt you if you're out
yeah.
there in the field. They will come. They will come after you.
And the
Yeah,
thing of it is out where she lives, even the wild hogs, they just run everywhere. Even the schools will keep the kids in when there's hogs out there, so they don't go after the kids. So, I mean, they're a definite problem, and even caging them and relocating them doesn't help, because then all they do is breed more, and they go back to their surroundings. Because honestly, people will say that pigs are probably the dumbest animal there are, but they're really not.
Yeah,
They
they can
are
be very
really,
dangerous. Yeah.
yes, definitely.
Yeah.
So, uh-oh, what happened? Oh, I turned off my thing. Whoops. Okay, y'all. Hang on, let me do this. My do wait a minute. Why is my do not disturb not working? What is going on here? Come on now.
Yes, that's the hogs will go in, and apparently the neighbors were telling me down the road that they will go in. I guess they'll kill chickens. They'll go in. They'll destroy your stuff. They'll come through your fences. So they, I mean, not just go after. I'm fortunate because I have say 15 dogs at least 15, 16 dogs. So my dogs pretty much keep them away. And that's I was talking to my neighbor today. He's like, it's fortunate that I have these dogs because they do keep them away from here. So it's just that poor Lucy, she's just still young, and she didn't know how to handle these hogs like the bigger dogs did. They can take care of it. But yeah.
All right, there we go. I think I got it to work now. I broke my
Okay.
phone. I broke my phone. I've been trying to keep my phone on do not disturb when I'm doing the show, and for some reason, my daughter messaged me and it didn't take. So,
Well,
um,
Lucy went to the vet today for checkup, and she got to come home last night. She went to the vet. The vet said she looked good. Took her bandages off. Her stitches look so perfect. Like he did such a good job. And her face is a little poofy, but she's all happy and wagging her tail, and she's giving everybody kisses today. And yeah, and so she'll go back in 10 days to get the staples out, and she'll be sleeping in Joel's bed for a while. Yeah.
oh, he's probably going to keep her in there for quite a while, if not just at least in the house.
Yeah.
But tonight we are going to talk about some of the stuff that Suzy has broke down and did some research on and found out some stuff. And I feel sometimes when we talk about this, it's going to upset some people when they realize what we just keep finding. But Suzy is taking everything back to ancient times to bring them forward, to have them make sense. By no means do we think that everybody should just walk out of church and throw your hands in the air and stick your Bibles in a garbage pit. That's not what we're saying on this show. By no means. But
Right.
she does dig, and she does find a lot of truth in a lot of things, and the way she does it is kind of really amazing. So with that being said, we're going to talk about some things that we probably definitely need a prayer on before we start, because we may piss off the devil.
Yeah, I did that one time or
Which is
two,
what we're
once or
about,
twice.
apparently. Something we like to do, apparently. It's okay. It's our job. It's our job, just piss him off and make him look foolish. But, hey.
Right. Well, we just want to speak to the Father, and people ask me, like I think Michael Anthony asked me, who I think what he was referencing, who God was to me or whatever, and I said God is a spirit, and but he's he's not just a spirit, he's like everything that is. So,
Yes.
and we talked about this before, Brenda, how in the creation books, in the beginning, it talked about how the spirit of the Father looked into the water, and water is what and was a reflection of him, which manifested everything that was physical, that manifested out of that, which was called Barbello, or the mother god, or because he was able to bring forth the material part of the feminine to where the feminine could bring forth children, and then all of creation could be from that, like he could create, or he could bring forth life out of everything in the material, because he's the spiritual. So that is kind of who the real Most High is. Okay, the Most High, which is above all, what we're going to be speaking about is the biblical gods, the biblical Lord gods, the biblical lords, and the generals and the angels and the demons, and then kind of, and then that in that kind of order. It's kind of like in politics, you have the president and the vice president. Well, in the spiritual realm, you have gods, they're at the top like a president, and then Lord God is number two. They're underneath the gods. So the gods, and then you have the Lord gods, and then you have the lords. So that's kind of that. It's like the spiritual ranking, like in politics. So that's how they that's how they reference them. So that's what we're going to be speaking about. So, so with that being said, I pray to the Most High, to the Spirit, to the Father, above all the gods and the lords and all the angels, right? And I just ask that He bless us and watch us, keep us safe, keep health on us, and protect us from all the evils and all the deceptions of the world. And I ask that in the Father's name. And I thank Jesus for being, there to lead us and guide us and protect us, and also. So with that, that's my prayer for all of us.
Always. Every one of us. All right.
Right.
So you wanted to start with a couple things that you wanted me to put on. I do have
Yeah.
one in the back waiting. The first one, number one, the one you numbered number one. Of course, we can't make this bigger.
I'm going to let the look on here so I can see.
Go to number one and blow
So,
it up.
since I'm on my phone and it even looks smaller on my phone, right? Okay. Number one is out of the Bible, and it's in Numbers 21:14. Okay. And it says, "Wherefore it is said in the book of the wars of Jehovah." So what I'm referencing here is the Bible is referencing another book that's not actually in the Bible. Well, the Bible does actually reference.
Uh-oh. We had a freeze up.
Um,
Oh, Suzy,
I had
your
a
internet's
freeze
going
up.
in and out again. Oh, here we go.
No,
Not today, Satan. Not today.
Satan. So, am I still frozen?
No, you're not.
Okay. All right. So, what I wanted to do is to show everybody where in the Bible is this book that I'm going to be speaking about. Okay. And what I did is this book, it took me, it was like a 5-hour audio to go through this. Okay. It's a pretty long book. It's probably why it's not in the Bible. It would take you for a long time to read it. Okay. So in this book, it talks about, um, basically what it's saying is Jehovah was considered like one of the original gods. Okay. and not the Father, not the Spirit, but a God. Okay, one of the gods. Okay, and he basically says in this book that he was pretty much a good God in a lot of ways. He thought he was, he did, but he did mess up. So he wasn't perfect. He said that. Okay. And that is in the book. But he wasn't as bad as the God that's running the planet right now. Okay. Basically, because this is what this book is about. This is the book, they talk about the war in heaven or whatever. So this is talking about this book of the war of these gods and these lords, okay? And what really did take place, not just referencing that it happened, but kind of knowing what happened and how it happened and who's involved. Okay? So basically what was said that the god that became the one who ended up becoming God was Dios. Deas, Dios. Now I want you to pull up before we go too far, let's show number 2.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'm in the middle of doing one thing for Woo because
Okay.
I'll hang out. Okay, let me go ahead and I'll pull that up real quick and then I'll get back in here and do that.
Okay.
There it is.
Okay. The number 2 is that no? That's you're way ahead of me.
No,
That's
that's
number
2.
4. Huh?
What?
Oh no, that's number 3. Number
What?
2. Yeah.
A minute.
We'll get to him in a minute.
Okay, well then I did something wrong.
Number 2.
Uh,
I'll tell you what it says. Okay. That's
okay.
it. It is another reference in this book is mentioned twice in the Hebrew Bible, possibly reference. Okay, the book of Jasher. So that's another book that is not in the Bible, but it says, "Have you not read the book of Jasher?" The Bible says that. Now, so it's referenced several times. Now there are a lot of preachers that do preach out of the book of Jasher. You just don't hear it as much as, but the book of Jasher also references the book of the wars of the lords. And that's another reference to that same book. Okay, so we'll go on to well, if you want, you can show number 3 because that's who I'm going to be talking about. Who is
Okay.
the one who took his place as God? Okay, and who
There we go.
is okay? So what the Book of the Wars? These are the notes that I took. It was Zeus. Zeus is Dios. He is the Roman Greek god. Zeus is now who is God of this world. Is okay. And as you see, Zeus is wearing horns. Okay. Now, according to this book, Zeus took his place by. Uh, okay, he was visited. It said by Satan. That's what it says in the book. Satan went to Zeus and told him, you know, this is what you do and this is what you do. So basically, Zeus made a deal with the devil. And so um, a lot of people, if they haven't read a book called Pistis Sophia, Pistis means power, Sophia means like Holy Spirit, so the powerful Holy Spirit. If in that book it talks about Zeus the tyrant, and Zeus is known as a and if everybody ever studied Greek or the Greek gods or anything like that, they would know the story of Zeus and the lightning bolts. And Zeus is known for not really caring about the humans much, which he's the one who brought the flood on the earth. He's the one that he's pretty much an angry kind of jealous God who says, I'm God and there's no others. And he's set his kingdom up, and it said he has set that there is 7 heavens. He sits in the top heavens, and his throne is on Mount Horrid. It says that's It's where it says that his mount is in Mount Horeb, and that he has his son is Anubis. Okay, and Anubis is represented in so what I'm going to get into is explaining to is how many gods and lords actually serve Zeus. Okay, and it's almost shocking, really. Okay, so and Zeus's sign is the sign of the Taurus, the horns. Okay, so we were talking about why did Moses have horns? Why did Moses supposedly have horns? Why does Zeus have horns? Okay, so Zeus or Dios sign is the Taurus, and so they put the horns over the throne of Zeus, and that's his symbol. Okay, and we remember we were talking about in Judas where Jesus said to Judas, even now your horn is beginning to rise or whatever. And so I had a theory about that, and this is just my theory. This isn't anything that I've read or anything like that. But I kind of wondered if when Moses went up on the mountain and he met with this God, and then he came down, he had horns out of his head. So did the horns start to grow once he made the deal with the wrong guy? You know what I mean? I'm just saying. Did
Right?
Pan had horns? Zeus had horns. You know, Judas is starting to grow a horn, Jesus said, you know. So do they get the horns? Do they grow after they make a deal with the devil kind of thing? I don't know. That's just my suspicion because of the fact that, you know,
Well, Noah, they said Noah has horns too.
yeah,
So,
crazy.
yeah.
So this is a sign of Zeus is the horns, and okay. So now Zeus has lords, generals, rulers, and his first ruler is Thoth. Everybody's heard of Thoth. Okay, that's his number one ruler. Um, Nubius was his was it said Nubius was his son, who was Nubius was, I believe, the dog head, wasn't it? The dog head.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So Nubius is number two. He's the number two. They would call those Lord gods. I think he had 32. He was God and he had Lord God. So Lord, they were lords and over different areas. So he would set these Lord gods over different peoples. Okay. That's why you get so many gods in so many different areas, because you have Lord gods. So you would have, and then Tian Watusi, which I never heard of that one. Clements, I think there was the reference to that in the Bible about the god Clements. Ashtaroth, there's lots of reference to Ashtaroth in the Bible. The Ashtaroth pole, it was a feminine god, a Lord god, and a lot of people served her in the Bible. So there was a lot of people who were under Ashtaroth. Baal, everybody remembers the story of Baal, Baal. Baal was one of the other Lord gods. Osiris, everybody knows about, and Osiris is tied in a lot with the politics. You know, you see that in you see a lot of people referencing the monuments in Washington and all this, or as ode to Osiris. You know, so Osiris was one of the most powerful of the Lord gods. Okay, in this group that was underneath Zeus. Orion, I'm just going to name a few of the names: Hebu, Hishu, and then I guess there's apparently I wrote in here, this note said there's like 32 of these Lord gods. Apollyon, Ben, which we're going to talk about in a minute, and we're going to talk about Ben and Dan. These are two of the Lord gods. Oh,
No, go ahead. Your
did you lose me?
going.
Okay. So we have Ben and we have Dan, and we are going to talk about the Benjamites and the Danites. Okay, this is key. These are also two of the Lord gods. Okay, Sol, Aphrodite, Gaia, Yabin, June, Yadan. Then there's a lot of them that are like Chang. I didn't write them all down. I just wrote some. And then the other group that's under them was Uran, Sumer, Hun, like Attila Hun, Hishi. That's what my son calls, shmams, Hishis.
Now
Okay.
you do have a
Yim
question.
Yam,
You do have a question.
huh?
You do have a question. And I'm going to put
Okay,
this
tell me the
up,
question.
and this is actually Woo. His account
Okay.
got deleted, so he had to come in as somebody else. But he
My
wanted
phone's
to
not,
know.
I'm not keeping up with me. Sorry. Okay. What's
He
it?
said, "Would these be the lesser deities?" Uh, let's see, Elohim.
Susie, would the lesser deity gods be the Elohim? Um, Elohim would have been like I think Yahweh was considered um a lesser god. Yeah. Yeah, that's just another one of the names for one of the Lord gods. Yeah.
So basically, not only did they take the form of how they did things from president to vice president to below, they take the form of the politics, as in, you know, your president, your vice president, and then the whole entire uh, uh, government, seeing there's so many of them, so they all get the lowercase.
Yeah, right?
Interesting. Kind of makes you wonder who put that in play.
Well, this was set up, from the original false god who set these gods in place, and then these Lord gods, and then all these, and then it just kind of goes down. It just trickles down to where, like, you have the United States, you have the president, the vice president, and then you have people under him, then you have the whole military under them, and then you have, so it just kind of it's almost like that same type of structure.
So again, we have the pyramid.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, all right. So here's like the lords. These are, and now that you had the Lord gods, and then you had the lords, and then so we've got um Yim Yam, Gamma, Reg, Cop. I thought that was funny. Cop. Peter. Peter was also considered a lord, right? And then okay. Yetra, Cain and Abel, and Cuss. Boy, that's Cuss. Okay. Cuss like cousin? No. So, and then you had 1,000 lower rank underneath those. There was 1,000 like generals underneath those Lord gods, right? So there was
Right.
like 1,000 of those. Okay, and then he had 2,000 million angels under him, under them.
Wow.
Like, like how our government would have military. So that would give you 200 million angels, under them. So just kind of like, yeah, just like huge, like a huge amount of beings all down this pyramid, like that pyramid you see on the dollar bill. Yeah, starts at the top and then, you know, so it just gets really big. So, what was going on in this book was, it was Jehovah. He was talking about how how everything got took over by Zeus, and Zeus took over and had all these beings that are ruling all these areas and stuff, and all these gods, lords, gods, and all these, serving him. So it was like, it'd be like, saying, the United States is more powerful than any other country. But yet, or maybe, right now it looks like Russia is kind of calling its own shots too over there, right? Because they're doing what they do. And then you got Israel, who says they can do whatever they want to do, right? So kind of like that too. So, you know, but you have, what I'm saying? It's like that kind of rulership, and you have them doing what they want to do. And so, and when things don't go the way Zeus wants them to, then he starts causing problems to all the humans. Okay, he starts
Right.
really messing up the humans. So one of his biggest things is fear. Like, he wants you to fear him, and then he'll threaten you like you're going to go to hell, and then Anubis is going to take you to hell, and then you're going to be punished. So the greatest thing you can do is not be afraid, not fear.
Right.
And that's why that one scripture says God does not give us a spirit of fear, but that of a sound mind. So that we are to have a sound mind, and we're not to be fearful of whatever rulers or whatever are running this planet or doing whatever they do. We just know that there is a good God, and that Jesus is good, and you know what? And we're all good with that. Right? No matter what happens, right? So, and that's what I was so Zeus, it says, set up a battle for a 1,000 years. Like, he would set up 1,000-year battles, and a lot of people, like I watched this one deal where the guy was talking about 100-year wars, and but 1,000 in the Bible always talks about, Satan will be bound for 1,000 years, or this will go on. It talks about 1,000 years. So, but he went on to say one of his armies that he used because he could was Gog and Magog. Okay, and that was, and when I had done my research and my study, Gog and Magog was nothing but uh, uh, what's his name, Mongoloids, the Mongolian army, uh, Genghis Khan. That's Gog and Magog, because they went in there and they were like killing everybody and taking this country and taking that, and then they all migrated all over and went to South America. And Gog and Magog was trying to like rule over the planet. So that was one of his big armies that Zeus used, was Gog and Magog, because they were pretty destructive, at their time. So so then, this is okay. So some of the false gods it talked about, this one named Tien Watusi Sunga. Now this Sunga god, he was pretty powerful. Now the next one it named, I had to laugh. Its name was Jay Leno. I'm like,
Really?
seriously? Yeah.
Jay Leno.
It said Sunga, then Jay Leno, and then Osiris, and then Baal, and then Ashtaroth. They were kind of at the top of the list of being some, pretty powerful false gods.
Now,
Yeah.
Blue wants to know if you've heard of the what do they call those? The Metatron?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I
What
think
you
it's
thought?
Metatron is a name that from what I have looked at, Metatron was a name that the Galactic Federation of Light, which I'm saying is a Luciferian, um, you know,
Yes.
army.
Yeah.
Okay,
There's
it's a
supposed to
whole
be a
army,
difference. There's a
and
difference between
they named Enoch. They gave Enoch the new name of Metatron. That's the gist of what that was supposedly all about. Yeah.
yeah, because there's a
So
difference between the Galactic Federation of Light and then the Galactic Federation. Okay, so there's
yeah,
a
because you can have
difference.
the Russian Federation, and you can have all
Yes.
kinds of different federations. Yes.
And
But
people
the
are
one, because
mistaken
Lucifer
that light one.
is the false light angel.
Yes.
So and so it kind of goes to, okay, so apparently the Galactic Federation of Light, or Ashtar, commander of the Galactic Federation of Light, he's like Lucifer, okay? So his region is in the north, and it's where Lucifer said, I will sit on the sides of the north. So in the Antarctic, where Admiral Byrd went to, and this is where, uh, that's where they are. And so they have lots of ships, you know, like UFO type ships, high, very far advanced technology. Um, okay, and that's where they dwell in the north. Okay, so that's where his throne is at, in the north. That's, and so Zeus is supposedly in the 12th heaven, or the 12th, I don't know, like the firmament or whatever. And so that's where he's at, in Mount Horrid, wherever that is. I'm not really sure exactly, because I didn't really research into that yet too much. I just know that that's where his seat is at, and then Ashtar, or Lucifer, is in the Norse, and then his army is the Galactic Federation of Light. Those are his, you know, those are his angels and his, you know,
Right.
generals and his lords, and you know, all that kind of stuff. So okay, so then you have they have their legions, you know, okay. Um Now, one of the things that they do when you, okay, so, and this is what I was saying to, me and Brenda were talking about this, and me and Brenda have been very targeted from birth, um, and very much, you know, like it's almost like we wonder, like, why does it seem like this stuff just keeps, you know, coming, right? Because these gods and lords and all these beings, okay, um, they've been running this planet for a long time, so they know the troublemakers who are going to stir things up, who are going to speak the truth. Okay, so they're going to like do what they can to target individuals, okay, to stifle the truth or whatever. But we're protected by the Most High, so that overrides their ability to, you know what I mean? Because the Most High comes to our rescue. So, you know, it's like when people are attacked and targeted, say, you know, example, like when Satan personally attacks people, okay, it's because he fears that these people are a threat to their kingdom, okay? So this is why the attack happens. You know, you get attacked because they see you as a threat to their stability of their evil kingdom, okay?
Now, I want to say something because Denise made a comment, said that she didn't think that Lucifer was bad, that he was only doing what God wanted him to because nobody else had the nerve. That, whoever taught you that, Denise, is that no.
Well, wait a minute.
Well,
Wait,
in
God,
a way.
wait. She's kind of right, but let me just say, wait. I'll just, because I want to, before we go too far, the God who is the false God who is above Zeus,
Right.
and above Lucifer, is known as Samuel or Satan or Yaltabaoth. Okay. Now, I actually met him in a dream, and 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 there is some evidence of this. I've kind of looked into this, but he actually looked like an alien gray. Honestly, the God who, yeah, this God. Now, that God is above, you know, he's above these other gods. Like, he put these authorities in place, okay? So he put them all there. So basically, Lucifer is you know, in his camp, or should you say that? You know, I'm saying they're all of the same, you know, they don't have anything to do with the true God, the Most High.
Right.
But the God who is above Zeus, because you got to remember, Zeus is just a god, and there are many gods. That's why in Psalms 32 it says that God sits in the council of the other gods, and then he judges amongst those gods. So there are many, many gods. Okay, God is just like saying many presidents. Okay, We
Yes.
get confused because we're like, the spiritual thing is confusing because you just got to think of it more like in politics, okay? And don't go too woo woo out there, right?
Woo woo woo.
No pun intended. you know.
Well,
So
I think that a lot of people's problems and where it stems is because everybody's brought up on certain different religions and aspects of the Bible, and you're told what they want you to be told. You're not told the truth, people. You're not. It's they have been deceiving since the day these things were written. So going back like Suzy has, and the research she's done has brought a lot of things to light, especially for her and I. You know, it's like the God of the Bible was not the true God like we were told. So
but
there
they
it
were
is.
gods, and they did. And it's important to read and study that Bible so that you'll begin to understand how it all fits together, how it all works. But you gotta read the whole thing. You can't just read parts of it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, because you won't understand it all unless you start researching every part of it. Because it's all connected.
Right.
Would you show number 4?
If that's the one that I have up,
Okay.
let me look.
So it says, this God Dios, okay,
Yes.
Deus is the Latin word for God, it says. It is used by the Roman Catholic Church to refer to their God, meaning that the Catholic faith, Dios, signifies a divine being they worship. It is the Latin term for God. So this is Zeus. This is who the Catholic Church um, worships. That's their God.
To the answer to.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Awesome.
yeah. All right. So let's see, where am I? Okay, so one of the things that Zeus does, okay, as God, okay, as like he's king of the gods. That's the way to put it. He is the king of the gods. He sits on the throne right now over Mount Horrid, okay, and he takes instructions from Lucifer. Okay, so they're working together. Okay, so so what he does is whenever whenever somebody wakes up and starts to kind of figure this stuff out, or they're on the right track or whatever, one of the things that he does is he has his legions, his demons, um, bring foul smells to your nose while you sleep.
Oh,
Yeah.
great.
And he'll bring you nightmares. You'll start having bad dreams and stuff like that. Yeah. This is his way of attacking you with his legions, because he wants full worship, and he doesn't want any deviation. He doesn't want you knowing the truth. He doesn't want history. He doesn't want the truth to be, he doesn't want full disclosure. He doesn't want disclosure. Okay. So instead, he causes all these problems. Now, the other weird thing it said in this book, okay, in the book of the War of the Lords, not only does he bring these foul smells in your nose while you sleep, right? Um, but he will carry viruses to people. And he will, it says, inject or inoculate with viruses. But the viruses that his legions carry are from the rotten dead, it says.
Mm.
Yeah. And not only does he do that through these demons, these legions, right? Okay. But another thing he does, that in the air, okay, like spraying in the air, he will carry these viruses so that you breathe them in if you do not bow down to the Roman Dios god.
Oh,
Zeus.
wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kind of makes a lot of sense nowadays, don't it?
Yeah, I mean, this is in the book, and that is referenced in the Bible. Okay? Yes. It's all in there. So, so the legions that he sends from Zeus, he uses his main people he uses to do this is Osiris, Pluto, and Apollos. Okay? And then Sunga was given legions to cause battles for 1,000 years. So Sunga might be like, like it was like some of the demons that come out of the Euphrates or whatever they talk about that could be, part of this army that's being led by these Lord gods, So, and it says, so they look at us, these gods and these rulers, they say that man is nothing but a machine and a plaything in the hands of the gods. That's how they joke about us. Yeah. And it says that they will actually cause enough harm to us, to the point that humans will drink their brother's red Campbell soup. Yeah.
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 Red Campbell soup. Now, y'all
Yeah.
know the story of Hollywood, so this is what we're kind of getting into here.
Yeah. Yeah. The red Campbell soup. We're going to talk about that. So, some of these gods that were used, in this. So here is a really weird one. Now, there were some gods that weren't necessarily, they wanted to help the humans. Okay? There were some gods that wanted to help the humans. So they there's a list of about 20 gods, that was mentioned that they had nothing but trying to help humans. And I mean, you've read this. People have read different little stories in the Greek gods where some of the gods were trying to help human, and then what did Zeus do? Freaking went ballistic and crazy, right?
Right.
And not to mention, okay, so I'll get to that other what I'm going to mention later in a second, but I want to talk about these gods first. So in these gods that helped humans was one named Dun, Chiro, Vanesti, Dardrat, Aslam, Boger, and then I thought this was weird. It said Udin, which I believe was Odin, the god Odin, which was my great great grandfather, my namesake. And I know for a fact that Odin was the god who did nothing but try to help the humans. Him and his wife would go on the earth, and they would constantly like shapeshift into like an old man. They'd come as an old man, and then they'd find out who was mistreating this person and that person, and then they would help the misfortunate ones. And so they were constantly trying to help humans. And it said Udin. So it said that these gods were most determined to rescue the humans from the gods, from these ancient gods. Okay. And another one was Zoroaster. And I don't know much about that god, but I know there's people who actually talk very well of that god. So this god too was really trying to help. He wasn't, like the tyrant Zeus. Okay. And they would try to save him from Nubius, and which was known as Zeus's son. Okay. So the top, this is the top, in Zeus's like top little group, it would have been Osiris, Baal, Ashtaroth, Nubius, his son, Cain, and Abel. Cain and
Right.
Abel. They were listed as in the top. Okay, and Satan helps Zeus be God over, and Satan is known as Loki, Lucifer, Samuel, Yaltabaoth, okay, the serpent god. That's who he's known as. Okay, So what I wanted, what I was going to say, what I was going to get to is back years ago when I was reading out of the Pista Sophia, and I started finding out about Zeus, this tyrant god, and Zeus was known as his. Now that he had a son named Sabaoth, the good, or the little Zeus, who helped helped mankind and fought against his father, and believed in the Most High, and believed in Christ. Okay, Sabaoth did. So it was called Sabaoth the Good. Okay, so not all the gods were bad. Some were good, but the ones running everything, they're pretty bad. It's kind of like some of the politicians that were running the planet here.
I know, right? This
Right?
is history repeating itself.
Yeah, you can kind of make the connection if you just think about it, like politics, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, just think about it. Think about Hollywood and politics and, yeah, all these people running around. Yeah. So, so I want this little personal story I wanted to share. So back when I was where I lived before, which I don't even like to mention that name.
Hell country.
Yeah, in the land of, Sodom and Gomorrah. Okay.
Right?
Yeah. So back when I was living over there, I remember thinking, oh my God. So they're saying Zeus is God. So I went outside and I started yelling his name. Like I yelled it really loud, like 3 times. Right. And I think what happened is this weird cloud showed up, and or something. I don't remember. It was something weird. It was really weird. Oh, this wind came and tried to blow everything over, and then I had to go into town, and so I get in my truck, and all of a sudden here comes the lightning bolts. And because Zeus is known for his throwing his lightning bolts. He's the god of thunder, right? Lightning and thunder. And so I'm in the truck, and I'm with Joel and Roger, and lightning is striking in front of me, like like 5 feet in front of my truck as I'm driving down my driveway and out my property. It just keeps striking and keeps striking. I'm like, oh my God, this is ridiculous. I said, do you think I pissed him off or something? And he goes, Roger's like, yeah, I think you pissed him off. And I said, yeah, I think I did. I said, so I was like, I don't want to get out and open the gate. And Roger goes, I'll get it. And I'm like, okay, be careful. So he gets out, he opens the gate, we drive through, we're going down the road, and right in front of us again and again. I'm going down the highway 95. Lightning keeps striking like in front of my truck. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. I think I really pissed him off. Okay. you know, and I'm like, damn, but I'm laughing about it. I was literally laughing because, I mean, it was like ridiculous. It was just ridiculous. Right.
Right.
And so I get into the Walmart parking lot, and as I pull in, the lightning started striking the Walmart. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, like seriously?
It's like we're going home. We're not shopping tonight.
I was like, I don't know if I want to get out of the truck and go in there. And he goes, oh, you'll be all right. Roger's like, you'll be all right. I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna park right by the auto, and I'm gonna make a run for it. So I did, man. I run in there, and I stayed in that store for like 2 hours until it stopped. I came out, not coming out of Walmart.
I'm really glad that you said that. You said it speaks of cryptids, like critters, in those books. And Suzy and I, that's one of the points we're going to hit on tonight, that what all she has to share, they're cryptids. They're probably the most cryptid you could ever get. Shapeshifters, cryptid things. So I'm glad you kind of hit on that, Woo. But
right?
I'm going to tell you what we're going to do right now. We're going to go ahead and take our 10-minute break, you guys. And Brenda, again, didn't pull the video up because, I'm silly that way.
No, we're gonna wait on the video to this.
Yes.
What? Okay. I'm going to say this real quick, and then we'll go to a break. How's that?
Go ahead.
Okay. So now Horrid is the most high where Zeus is at. Okay, Osiris is over Mount Ogagon. Ogagon. That's where Horus is over. Ogogan. And that's Persia. He's the prince of Persia. Remember in the Bible, Daniel was praying and he had to battle the prince of Persia? That's Osiris. Okay? And so these are the signs that were given to these different gods. Now, the sign that Baal is a bird that looks like an eye boy, which I don't know what a bird of an eye boy looks like, okay? Because they considered Baal to be wise and powerful, okay? Ashtaroth's sign was a sign of a circle with a cross. Okay, so we talk about like sigil signs. So this was the sign of Ashtaroth, was a sign with a cross, okay? And Ashtaroth was also known as Nefertiti. Remember the name Nefertiti from Egypt, right? So that's associated with Ashtaroth. Now, the next one was Hermes, okay? He was a general, okay? And he was, I don't know what an Inqua is, sign of an Inqua, I don't know. But that's what his sign was. And Apollo, the god Apollo, was a lone arrow, one arrow. And there is a Greek story about Apollo who just kind of went bipolar one day and started shooting animals and people. Like lightning bolts, like Zeus was doing to me, just shooting them, like lightning people and killing them and animals. So that's his sign is a sign of a lone arrow. Okay, and then the next one was Pistivon, which is known as Poseidon, the god Poseidon. Okay, he has a UFO ship over the sea. He has a big ship in the sea. We've been hearing some stuff about the UFOs coming out of the sea, right? And then you have one called Kintaya, okay? This ruler is known for, he can destroy cities with fire. He can burn up cities. This Kintanya. That's his brand. His brand is that he goes around burning up cities with fire. Okay, and also spreads virus. Okay, and then there's one called Queen Anan. Okay, and that one has an army, is over the stars with an army, and it carries a staff. Okay, and it inspires the sons to sing praises to their Lord God. Yeah, to Zeus. Okay. Wow. All right, so that's the breakdown of that book. 5 hours. I just broke it down in an hour.
All right, guys, we're going to take our 5-minute break, and we will be right back. So hang out, and we've got videos for you. So we will be right back. Well, I got a message from Facebook while we were doing the break.
Oh,
Apparently, they
what kind of
slapped me in my
message?
hands over something I posted. So I thought they were supposed to stop doing that, but oh well. It was a test
Right?
run, anyways, and they still did it. And it was funny because when I turned the show to when we went to the break, the minute Putin heard the music, he jumped up, run to the steps like we were going somewhere. I'm like, dude, we ain't done. What you doing? He knows the break music. It's so funny. Goofy dog.
Smart little booger.
Oh my goodness. There we go. I know why that happens now. When it's my daughter, she's the only one that's not. When you set your phone up for do not disturb, you have an option to put a phone number in there that doesn't get, cut off. It's my daughter. So, but so back to what we were doing. You caught up, you know where you're at.
Okay. So that was a breakdown of about the war of the lords, the Jehovah war, okay?
Right.
So that kind of explains what happened. And then we get into um going to make a big leap or a big jump over, but it's all, we're talking about the cryptids and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And so what's really bizarre, Brenda, and we were talking about this is like really crazy stuff. But we're talking about the horns that Zeus has, which is like Pan. Pan has horns, okay? Pan the goat, who was the guardian of hell, and you have the Baphomet has horns. You have Moses that had horns. You had all these beings with horns.
Right.
So we don't just have beings with horns, but we also have werewolves. Okay, we have dogmen. Now, one of the things it says that, okay, so it goes when you read the first book of Adam and Eve in the Hebrew. I think it's the Tanakh. I think I'm not really sure the name of the book, but it's one of the Hebrew books. Okay, um, it talks about what Cain and Abel. You know one had a lion's face, and the other one had a cat face, and one had a bear face. And so it was said that the Lord God had slept with Eve, and they had these children that were kind of like animal looking. Okay, and so when you get further into the story, we talk about um, Benjamin, and Benjamin was one of the 12 children um, of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Jacob had 12 sons. Okay, Jacob had 12 sons, and one of them was Dan. We talked. Remember the word Ben and Dan. Okay,
Right.
so Dan is known as a serpent. Okay, so he's literally referenced literally as serpent. Okay, and Benjamin is referenced as a ravenous wolf, literal wolf. So you would have your reptilians come from the tribe of Dan. You would have your wolves coming from, or your werewolves. Now the thing about the werewolves in these stories is okay. So they're a werewolf, but this is so weird about them, and this is what we're going to show the video of the rabbi breaking it down, and he's going to explain that once Benjamin turns into the werewolf, okay, the only way he can go back to being human again, okay, and this is in the Norse story too, and that's what it says, a werewolf ate my great grandfather Odin. He was
Oh,
eaten by a werewolf.
oh,
Okay. Yes.
oh. Yeah,
And
I
Thor
remember that
was
one.
killed by a serpent. Yes.
Right.
Thor was killed by so that would be killed by the tribe of Dan, killed by the tribe of Benjamin. Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's their, you know, that's what they are. So, yeah. So as a werewolf, okay, once they switch into being a werewolf, and it had something to do with the full moons. And but apparently what it says in these Jewish books is the father had some kind of way of keeping him from switching into a werewolf, like his body. Okay, but when his father was not around, then he would end up switching into a werewolf. And so once he switched into a werewolf, it goes into the explanation. Even in the prophecy in the Bible, it tells you how he does it. And then he would he would eat people, eat them. And then the only way he could become a man is to eat Campbell soup. Okay,
Right.
that was the only way he could go back to being human again, is to have human Campbell soup. Okay, so now where have we heard this before? In Holly Weird. Okay, that the only way they can maintain their humanness, right, is if they have Campbell soup.
Wow.
So yeah, because what they become, what a werewolf ends up becoming, is a vampire. And so they're one and the same, basically. One and the same. So that's how they have to maintain from going the wolf direction. So with that, okay, I will read this. It says, okay, in Genesis 49:27, Benjamin is a ravenous wolf. In the morning he devours the prey. In the evening he divides the plunder. Okay.
Mm.
And then where he references Dan, Dan shall judge his people. Dan shall Dan shall be a serpent by the way, and an adder by the path, biting the horse's heels so that the rider shall fall backwards. So when we talk about the reptilians, they are the judges of mankind. They set everybody backwards, right? I mean, this makes a lot of sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, so we'll go ahead and pull up that video and of, let's see, let me tell you which one. Go ahead and start with, I think, well, let's start with, okay, now this one here, let's start with this one, okay? Because this explains a little bit about how messed up things were from the very beginning. Now, in the Norse mythology, Odin would speak of humans in a reference them as trees. We always say our family tree, right?
You want
Tree.
6
I
or
always
7?
thought, huh?
6? You want 6?
We'll do six first. And so he would reference people as trees. So it was said that man ate from the tree of good, and then he ate from the tree of evil. So in reference to eating, what's referenced is a child is referred to as a tree. Okay, a human is a tree, a child is a tree. So you're going to eat from the tree, right, of evil. So it's kind of goes along with what Campbell soup is. Okay, so we'll go ahead and play number 6. Um, and that will be the first video, and it will explain what the Campbell soup is and why these vampire werewolves do what they do.
Right. Okay. Let me bring this up here. Well, possibly. Let me come back here. What the heck? Hang on. the heck? Okay. This is
And
good.
this comes from the Legend of the Jews. There is quite a few
Hang on.
biblical legends of the Jews. So this comes from a book called The Legend of the Jews. It's some Jewish books,
Okay.
which they have hundreds of biblical legends. The Jews do. The Jews are like the authority on all the biblical stuff, right? I mean, those rabbis spend all their time studying this stuff.
This
Okay,
story
now I think I got
explains
it. Give me a
how
minute.
Adam and Eve are subject of a
Okay.
very esoteric tradition regarding an alternative understanding to the story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. This story explains how Adam and Eve ate and killed and cooked the baby of Samael. That being said, let's begin. The source of our story will come from The Legend of the Jews. The Wikipedia article here states, The Legends of the Jews is a chronological compilation of Agadah from hundreds of biblical legends in Mishnah, Talmud, and Midrash. Our source for today will come from Book 1, Chapter 4. You can find a link to it here on Sepharia. And once we're on Sepharia, we want to go to line 28 onwards, and we'll read the story of the Holy Book. Seeing as I have a copy of the Legends of the Jews in physical form, we'll read it from here. For all of those that want to look into this matter deeper, I will leave a link to the Sepharia section in the comment section down below. Book 1, Chapter 4, Section The Holy Book. Great wisdom was needed for building the ark, which was to have space for all beings on earth, even the spirits. Only the fishes did not have to be provided for. Noah acquired the necessary wisdom from the book given to Adam by the angel Raziel, in which all celestial and all earthly knowledge is recorded. While the first human pair were still in paradise, it once happened that Samael, accompanied by a lad, approached Eve and requested her to keep a watchful eye upon his little son until he should return. Eve gave him the promise. When Adam came back from a walk in paradise, he found a howling, screaming child with Eve, who, in reply to his question, told him it was Samael's. Adam was annoyed, and his annoyance grew as the boy cried and screamed more and more violently. In his vexation, he dealt the little one a blow that killed him. But the corpse did not cease to wail and weep, nor did it cease when Adam cut it up into bits. To rid himself of the plague, Adam cooked the remains, and he and Eve ate them. Scarcely had they finished when Samael appeared and demanded his son. The two malefactors tried to deny everything. They pretended they had no knowledge of his son, but Samael said to them, "What? You dare tell lies, and God in times to come will give Israel the Torah in which it is said, keep thee far from a false word? While they were speaking thus, suddenly, the voice of the slain lad was heard proceeding from the heart of Adam and Eve, and it addressed these words to Samael, Go hence, I have penetrated to the heart of Adam and the heart of Eve, and never again shall I quit their hearts, nor the hearts of their children or their children's children, until the end of all generations. Now, how can we have such a bizarre story regarding Adam and Eve eating the baby of Samael? Well, our first key to understanding the secret rendition is that it is written, man is a tree, and the fruit of man is a baby. Therefore, the fruit of the tree was a baby. They ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. If man is a tree, the fruit therefore was a child. Hence we have our first key. Our second key comes from the fact that Samael's child, after having been killed and cut into pieces and cooked and eaten, entered into the heart of the human being. This is identified by the Yetzer Hara, or evil inclination. The heart is precise because it is written to love the Lord with all of your heart. The word heart in Hebrew has 2-letter baits, and our sages say that this signifies the Yetzer Hara and the Yetzer Tov, for we have 2 hearts, a good heart and an evil heart. Let us go into deeper levels as to the understanding of what we just read, and a secret tradition that goes into werewolves, vampires, and more. Again, returning to Sepharia, when discussing the topic of werewolves, we read Bereshit 49:27. Benjamin is a ravenous wolf. In the morning he consumes the foe, and in the evening he divides the spoil. Rabbeinu Ephraim's commentary from Rav Nathan Slifkin says the following: Benjamin was a ravenous wolf who would occasionally maul people, and when the time came for him to turn into a wolf, as it is written, Benjamin is a ravenous wolf, Genesis chapter 49, verse 27. If he was with his father, he could rely on a physician, and in that merit would not turn into a wolf. Thus it says, and if he leaves his father, he will die. Bereshit 44:22. That is to say, if he separates from his father, he will turn into a wolf and attack people on the way, and anyone who encounters him will kill him. It continues, there is a type of wolf that is called a loop-guru, a werewolf, which is a person that changes into a wolf. When it changes into a wolf, his feet emerge from between his shoulders, and so too with Benjamin. He dwells between the shoulders, Deuteronomy chapter 33, verse 12. The solution for dealing with this wolf is that when it enters a house and a person is frightened by it, he should take a firebrand and thrust it around, and he will not be harmed. And so they would do in the temple each day. They would throw the ashes by the altar as it is written, and you shall place it by the altar, Leviticus 6:3. And so is the norm with this person, whose offspring turn into wolves. For a werewolf is born with teeth, which indicates that it is out to consume the world. Another explanation, a werewolf is born with teeth, to show that just as this is unusual, so too he will be different from other people. And likewise, Benjamin ate his mother, who died on his accord, as it is written, and it was as her soul left her, for she was dying, and she called his name, the son of my affliction. Bereshit 35:18. It continues, this secret reading links werewolves to an arcane element of the temple service, or the offering of ashes. Just as according to Leviticus 6, the priest would ceremonially collect and dispose of the ashes of the altar, itself located in the territory of Benjamin. One who is confronted by a werewolf should utilize ashes as a means of defending himself. The pietistic commentary reinforces this linkage between werewolves and the tribe of Benjamin by immediately pointing out that Benjamin ate his mother who died, as it says, as she breathed her last breath, for she was dying, she called his name son of my affliction. And again here, Genesis 35:18, like the ravenous wolf, Genesis 49:27. And like contemporary werewolves, Benjamin metaphorically devoured his mother, who died while giving birth to him. That Benjamin's mother's name was Rachel, Hebrew for sheep, the prey of wolves, no doubt lent credence to this reading of the verse. Eleazar of Worms, period 1176 to 1238, in his Sode Razia, volume 2, says the following: Tselem be'albam ze'av. That Tselem is ze'ev in the Albam system. Therefore, those people who change into wolves were created as such from the 6 days of creation and do not return to their earlier state until they have eaten the blood of a man or a woman. This is in regards to a commentary of Genesis chapter 2, verse 28. The word Tselem is image, and he's saying in the Albam cipher, Ze'ev means wolf. And thus we see the words here found in Genesis chapter 1, verse 27. Vayibara Elokim et Adam betlamo, betselem. In the image of. Eleazar of Worms stated that Tselem in the Albam cipher is Ze'ev, or wolf, hinting to a werewolf. Thus we have a better secret understanding about the nature of Adam. Adam, according to this secret tradition, was a werewolf, and the consumption of flesh caused him to return to his normal state, as it was just stated. This entirely links to what we just read regarding the tradition that they ate Samael's baby. Again, this also hints to the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Why? Because accordingly, Betselem here is the secret of a werewolf, Ze'ev. If this is the case, then when Adam and Eve ate the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, or an example, the baby of Samael in this case, Samael being identified here with the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and the fruit of the tree being identified as the baby, their eyes were opened and they knew they were naked. They were naked because they transformed back into a human being after consuming the flesh. Now, the divine well on this matter goes much deeper, because our next character we find is Cain. It is important to note that the numerical value of the word Tselem is 160. That would be 90 plus 30 plus 40. This is the same numerical value as the word Cain. Cain is also a value of 160. Kof is 100, Yud is 10, and Nun is 50. The same value as the word Tselem. And again, Tselem in Albam is Ze'ev, which was the werewolf. Therefore, what does Cain do? Well, he kills his brother. He rises up upon him in a field, and it does not exactly explain how he actually kills his brother. The Zohar says that he actually went about biting Hevel's body like a snake, biting him all over. This aligns with what we've just discussed regarding the werewolf. Now, the squaring of Cain's name with the letters is the numerical value of Esav. Esav, being the brother of Yaakov, was also born hairy or ruddy. And what did he do? He was a hunter of the field. It is known that Esav killed Nimrod or Nebuchadnezzar, as it was stated that he was a mighty hunter. And our sages state, and the Zohar states, that he killed him in the field and took from him the garment of Adam. Thus, seeing the exact same scenario rise again. An example, the killing of but possibly also the consumption thereof. In fact, the story gets a little strange because Esau asks him for red soup. Now, here where it says, and Esau said to Yaakov,
Campbell soup.
give me some of that red stuff to gulp down, for I am famished. It says, min ha'adom ha'adom. Notice the word Adam, or man, is mentioned twice. So that the word red stuff, which is usually Edom, an example red, here is using the term Adam. Why is it using the term Adam? It could be insinuated that Yaakov knew Esau was a werewolf, and the soup that he prepared for him was made out of a man, an example to return him back to his initial state, just as later would be with his son Benjamin, who was a ravenous wolf as well. Thus the term red soup could be understood as Adam soup, or man soup. And the divine well goes even deeper when we take the aforementioned information and apply it to the story in the book of Judges, in which all of the tribes come against the tribe of Benjamin. If this be the case, then this would be the first great werewolf war. In fact, this symbolism of the werewolves have been associated with royalty throughout the ages and throughout history. The same symbolism of the wolf, as well as human consumption, is to be found amongst the ancient Greeks and the ancient Romans. We see amongst the Romans, their founders, Romulus and Remus, the founders of Rome, were reared up by a wolf. Again, we see this symbolism amongst the royals and amongst the great founders here, of course, Rome. It is important to understand that Rome is called Edom, and Edom is associated specifically with Esau. Therefore, the symbolism of Remus and Romulus being raised up by a she-wolf is very intentional and very esoteric. Furthermore, we see it amongst the Greeks, amongst Lycaon, the king of Arcadia. This particular king, due to his horrific deeds in trying to trick the gods into eating something they should not be eating, accordingly, was transformed into a wolf man or a werewolf, from which we get the term lycanthropy. Lycanthropy is the term used to describe a werewolf. Now, concerning what we've learned and returning back to...
I'm going to pause that for a minute because I got something to say about that in regards to that. About the whole fooling people into eating stuff that they shouldn't be eating. Hence, McDonald's, Burger King, so on and so forth. Yeah. Because people thought that the studies that they did for McDonald's was a joke. And it was not. And it is starting to come out because now they're making meat in machines. I heard somebody once say that it's impossible that McDonald's sells 1 million hamburgers a day, but there isn't that many cows in the United States. So what does that tell you people? Hence the reason why I stopped eating McDonald's so many years ago. All right, back to the show.
Them being made B'Tselem, Rav Eliezer of Worms mentioned that the werewolves were created on the 6th day. It is precisely the 6th day that humankind was created. Of course, one last thing must be addressed. According to this very esoteric tradition, we must understand, here we would say, and God created humankind in the divine image, but it actually says, Vaya Bera Elohim.
Elohim.
The importance of this is that the name Yud-Ke Vav-Ke is not mentioned here, but rather the name of Elohim.
Right.
Thus, in all of these places, Yud-Ke Vav-Ke is not mentioned during the acts of creation, but the name Elohim is used, which is different. It should be understood that Elohim is the name of Hashem for the sphere of Gevurah. It also shares the same ordinal value as Samael, as pointed out in Tikkunei HaChoshek. Thus, the man here is not created in the image of Yud-Ke Vav-Ke under this rendition, but is created in the image of Elohim. Now, this matter is briefly touched upon in Likutei Yira. I will share with you all the page. For those of you that would like a free PDF copy, during the opening segment of this particular video, a QR code is displayed. Simply scan the QR code and you may download a PDF of the entire Sefer for free. Found on pages 710 and 711, ending on page 712, we find the keys that were covered in this video. With that being said, we have entered into a very, very deep and esoteric matter, which could lead one down a very deep rabbit hole, covering all of the bizarre symbolism that we find in certain places. Perhaps, then again, there will be another video done in the future regarding this very matter. But for now, that is all.
Interesting.
Okay. One of the things I wanted to say, Brenda, was, okay, so I remember Brent had asked a question before about the star. Remember the star?
Yes.
Now, one of the things that it had said in this deal that in the legend of the Jews and their biblical legends said that the star, the pentagram, is the sign of the werewolf.
Hmm.
Okay. Yeah. So the werewolf has to become a vampire to stay human. So it's a 5-pointed star. Okay. Yeah.
Hmm.
And also it said that the swastika, right? The German, whatever,
Yeah.
right? That represents the moon. When the moon comes up, the man doesn't want to murder, but he knows he cannot escape it. Yeah.
Hmm.
So those were a couple of the symbols of what those represent, what those things mean.
And Steve just got here. And he's like, I'm so lost.
I'm following along.
Okay.
What's happening? You know, there was a band that out of New York, or no, actually California, the Distillers. They used the logo of Romulus and Remus eating underneath the mother wolf. And it was
Oh.
they used it on T-shirts that, like, it just repelled me. I didn't want to get that.
Huh.
That was a few years ago.
Now we know what it means. Yeah.
Yes, we do. So
Right.
everybody in the chat was extremely quiet during that during that video. Are y'all okay?
Yeah. Did y'all survive that?
Anyone tap out?
Probably
Anyone
didn't
run around the house screaming, "Oh my God, what did I just hear?"
Yeah, sometimes it's, but we all know that back then they put a lot of things in Hebrew. So that's where it started. So Suzy went back looking for stuff that was Hebrew that could be translated and came upon this guy here who apparently he speaks Hebrew. So he can read it.
One of them. Now, the next video we're going to watch is a rabbi, and it's a very, very good, interesting conversation that he brings up about the werewolf.
Yeah, well, talk while I bring that up because I have to get out of this without getting out of the rest of the.
But now we
Getting
can
out of
all
the rest of
know.
the show.
Now we can all know when we say the red Campbell soup, right?
Yes, yes,
Yeah,
and
what we're
that's what I was
referencing.
telling Denise. I think I want to make. I want to make grilled cheese and tomato soup when I'm done. I got to check my milk though because I make mine with milk. I don't make it with water. Okay, let me see.
And you can
Hit
think of,
that.
but if you're eating that tomato soup, you can think about that poor sucker that
Hey,
was made into that soup.
tomato soup is. What on earth did I just do? Oh, there it is. Okay. All right, let's see if we can start this without Brenda screwing it up.
All right.
Watch.
Okay.
Shimon Kol Yaakov here from Torah Anytime. It's been a while and I hope
You'll have to
everyone is
skip
doing
past.
well.
This Torah class is brought to you by
Goodness.
TorahAnytime.com.
Good evening, this is Rabbi Wallerstein. Sorry that we're starting so late. Whoever's listening to this shir and you're in your car, pull your car over to the side. I do not want you to hear what I'm about to say while you're driving. If you're cooking, turn down the fire, sit in the kitchen by your table, and don't do anything. If you're holding a baby, put the baby down.
Oh God, everybody sit
Okay. I'm about to say something which my Chava Albert Khan showed me this morning in shul. And all the shiurim and all the years I've given shiurim, I've never in my life seen something like this. You can send me a million emails. It's not going to change anything. I'm reading it from a sefer. It's not a comic book. It's not a fantasy book. It's from a sefer. And all those who want to buy the sefer have the little advertisement. It's called the Oitze Plois HaTorah. Okay? And it's written down in the sefer, but he's bringing some of it from the Chidah. This is what he says. You ready? Here we go. So last week's parsha, Yaakov Avinu gave his son Binyamin a bracha. What did he say? He said the following. It's a little bit, now that I learned this pshat, it's like, how come I didn't ask about this before? Okay, it's just a little interesting pasuk. Binyamin ze'ev yitraf. Binyamin is a predatory wolf. Binyamin's a wolf. Haboki yochal. In the morning, he will devour his prey. And in the evening, he will distribute his spoils. And Rashi talks about Yichalik Sholo, Mordechai and Esther, who came from Binyamin. All right. In Parshas Vayigash, it says, when they asked to take Binyamin down to Yosef, Yehuda is repeating what his father said. And you also take this one for my presence, right? The Karo Asan. If you do that, it will disaster will befall him. And I will die in a very bad way. Well, why would Yaakov say that? Yaakov would say, if you take Binyamin away from me, it's going to hurt me. But why would he say that if you take Binyamin away from me, disaster is going to befall Binyamin? Nothing's going to befall Binyamin. The disaster is to Yaakov if you lose Binyamin. Why do you think there'd be a disaster? Okay? And why is he compared to a wolf? Here we go. The parish Rabbeinu Ephraim. Now Rabbeinu Ephraim is a parish that I quote a lot. The Chidah brings him down a lot. Kosav, he wrote, Devarim Pile Ploim, things that are supernaturally amazing. She'ein lehem havana. We can't understand this. Al derech hapshat, in real life. Shemavoyim asher kosav b'Torah. The Rabbeinu Ephraim explains what is written in the Torah. Binyamin ze'ev yitraf. Binyamin is a wolf who devours. Eino mishal ba'alma. Eino mashal ba'alma. It's not that Yaakov Avinu is comparing him to a wolf like against your enemies. It's not a mashal. It's not a parable. Ella, shali'itim, that at certain times, hayebe'emes, nehapach lezev, that Binyamin was a wolf man. And there were times that he would turn into a wolf. Shekoirin Leifgaro, I don't know, it's a different language. Hu ben Adam, it's a person, Amishtano Ze'ev, who turns into a wolf. What? A werewolf, yeah. That's what it is, a werewolf. Uveshash Mishtano Ze'ev, when he turns into this, when the human being, when Binyamin, talking about Binyamin here. So when the human being would turn into a wolf, Raglav Yoitzim Bank Seifov, legs would come out between his shoulders. So he would have like legs from his shoulders and legs from his on the bottom. He'd have 4 legs and 2 arms. Kach Binyamin. Binyamin was a werewolf. Whoever's watching this, I told you to sit down. Bank safe of Shachain. Because it says later on in Devarim, it's crazy, when Moshe Rabbeinu gave a bracha to Binyamin, he said, being safe of Shachain, you should dwell between your shoulders. Moshe Rabbeinu gave that bracha to Binyamin. V'yesh lo b'kol eish, but you should know there's one thing he can't change. At all times, Zanav, he has a tail. Afilu b'eish shechayzu mishtana l'adam, a werewolf turns back into a human. Even when he turns back into a human, the tail he can't get rid of. Uveshah shenichnas hazev lebeis lebayis, when this person who turned into a werewolf comes into your house, v'adam misyarim menu, and you're scared of him. Ha'etza shelo yazikuhu, the etza that he shouldn't damage you, he shouldn't hurt you. Yikach afa manuach be'esh, take ashes from the fireplace, and speak them all over the place. And he won't hurt
make
you.
a mess.
You're like, who is Rabbeinu Ephraim? A werewolf? Maybe Divrei Rabbeinu Ephraim Elu, the Chidah brings down these words from the Divrei Rabbeinu Ephraim, B'sifrei Devash Lefi. They get scarier. V'ayim asher veisi b'shmo, and look what I brought down in the name of the Chidah. Al pasuk v'yivrei Elokim es ha'adam etzamo. Hashem created man b'tzelem Elokim. Shetzelem ba'album oisher zev. The word tzelem in that language, I don't know what language that is. Tzelem in that language means a wolf. V'oisam b'nei adam, and the human beings shemishtanim uzev, that are werewolves, that turn into wolves, nivru misheshes yemei bereshis. They were created in the first 6 days of creation. Ve'ein chayvin lekalmasan. They can't. Here it comes. You think that's something? They can't turn themselves back from a wolf into a human unless they drink the blood of a man or a woman, a vampire. Chida. Okay, I warned you. So this whole werewolf vampire thing that they wrote stories about is true. Now we're going to learn the Mefarshim. That's what he says. Now let's look at the bottom. He says the following. Well, let me finish. I didn't finish the inside yet. Let's go weiter. What happens if you have a child that's born with fangs and a tail? This we didn't learn this morning. So the Sefer Hasidim talks about this. In his time, there was a baby born with fangs and a tail. In the time of the Sefer Hasidim. Amru Anashim, So the people who saw the child said, let's kill the child. In the end, he's going to grow up, he's going to kill people. His fangs in the tail. They went to a chacham in those days, Amalo, to siulo shinayim shel panav, pull out the teeth in his mouth, Bazanav tachtov tachtoichu, and the tail that he has coming from his bottom cut off, until his body becomes like a regular human being, he won't be able to hurt, he doesn't have the teeth. Mishal Zuchuvos Me'ahava Shenishal Al Vlad Mishuna Shnoi B'Mus Adam V'Chaya Hom Emitul Limi. So he brings down a shaila. If a child's born that it has the shape of a human and an animal, are you allowed to kill it? Is it a human or an animal? Because it could hurt you. So he says like this: Vlachin is hapik through us in the Chaya. A child who becomes an animal. What does that mean? A sefer dudoy hasad that brings down in Simin Pehei. Maybe Masi he brings down a story be'echot sheneloloi birya mishuna hoylach al arba. They gave birth to this thing that crawled on all four. Ubisha shenoyel at hoyloi mixed to its adam atshana. It looked like a human until it was a year old. Umalayosha, they gave it a bris milah. Then it became totally an animal. It lived 19 years. It didn't look like a human anymore. And it died. They paskin that you don't have to sit availus for that because it ended up becoming a total animal. We're not done. Okay, this is a story from today. So the person who wrote the Sefer, his name was, definitely we have to know this, but he's not writing this on his own, he's bringing it down from his farm. Oh, his name is Zev Wolf. Zev Wolf Zicherman. Okay? He says the following.
Any relation
to Wolf. Yeah, anyway, B'Yaisi b'Beis Hagoyin, Rav Chaim Kanievsky, he said, I was in the house of Rav Chaim. Sipa li sipa nifla ma'od. Rav Chaim told me a no ridiculous ma'aseh shekatza be'Evan Ezra al Daniel. It's brought down in an Evan Ezra on the Navi Daniel. Shehigid lo echa mechaber of Ish Naaman, that the Evan Ezra, one of his friends, told him, Shehaya boy acha sheshmoi Sardanya. Somebody came named Sardanya. V'sham ha'yadar goy echad, and in that town lived a guy who went nuts. And he ran away from home into the forest. He lived with the wild, an isle with a ram, with the rams, mountain rams. He lived there with the animals, like who? Like who? Tarzan. No, exactly the same story. He became like an ape, right? Tarzan was taken there as a baby. So there's all these stories. He lived there a long time. He didn't walk like a man anymore. He crawled like a ram. And he ate grass. When the king was going, side, he was hunting in the woods. And between the rams, they captured this guy who was crazy. And they brought him to his parents. Right? They identify him. That's my son. And they talked to him. He didn't answer them anything. They gave him bread and wine. He wouldn't eat or drink. They gave him grass and hay. He ate. In the middle of the night, he ran into the woods with the rams. Okay, this is a story that Rav Chaim told them. All right. So let's end this. What does this have to do with any of us? It tells you that there are things in the world that people talk about that you think is Where'd they get it from? They made it up. It's all in the Torah. Not everything they make up is in the Torah. Okay, this is what he says. Listen carefully. Zelosh Rabbeinu Ephraim. Adam HaMishtan. Who is this? What is Zev? What is who ben Adam Shemishtan Lezev? It's a person who turns into a wolf. Ubashash Shemishtan Lezev Raglav Yotzim Mekisav. When he becomes a werewolf, the legs come out of his shoulders. Kach Binyamin. The same thing happened to Binyamin. Being safe of Shachin. The way to heal the zev is if he comes into a house and a person's skin, he should take ashes that come from a fire, spread it all around, he can't get you. It's not a silver bullet, but ashes. Every day they did this in the Beit HaMikdash. This is the meaning of a person who, because the Zev is born with these teeth, fangs. Even if he turns back into a human, he still has a tail. Binyamin had this. Okay, that was his property. Okay, whatever. All right, now. It says the Korel Asan. This is Nairudeh. That Yehuda said that Yaakov said, if you take Binyamin away from me, you're going to cause something terrible to happen to him. How do you know? So he says the following. Oy divrei pella shekaza Rabbeinu Ephraim. There's another unbelievable thing that Rabbeinu Ephraim says. Binyamin hayu li'itim l'haptach lezev. Binyamin certain times turned into a werewolf. Well, he taraf b'nei Adam. He killed people. He ripped them apart. Rock. When he was near his father, his father was able to heal him, and he didn't turn into a wolf. That's what Yehuda said to Yosef. The child, Binyamin, can't leave his father. He'll die. He'll become a werewolf. When he leaves his father, and he'll turn into a wolf. Whoever's going to find him, Yahagu is going to kill him. To make sure that the werewolf doesn't hurt anybody else. So what he was telling Yosef was, you don't know who my brother is. My brother leaves my father, he's going to end up dying because he's going to turn into a werewolf. It's unbelievable.
Does that mean for each brother they all turned into...
No, just here. Dunn didn't turn into a snake.
Power Rangers. You didn't into a lion.
No.
Didn't turn into a donkey.
These werewolves, Shemishtanim Lezev, people who turn into wolves, Nivru b'Sheshim Abrashis. They were created in the Sheshim Abrashis, but Ein Cheshin L'Kamusan. They can't come back to being just a human. At she'oichlem dam adam ha'isha, unless they eat the blood of a man or a woman. I warned you. Torah. This is Torah.
TV shows take it from here.
This is Torah. This is Torah. So it's a chiddush gadol to say that Binyamin, who was one of the shiftei kah, was a werewolf. But he brings rise that he was a werewolf from the psukim, and that they warned Joseph. They're like, he can't leave my father. If he leaves my father, he's done. So my kash is, he left his father, and he wasn't done. So how did he stay a human?
Yaakov blessed him before.
And they took ashes with them. whatever they had to do. Maybe they did whatever they had to do. Anyway, you come to Rav Wallerstein's shir, you hear things you will never hear anywhere else. But he gets the credit. He showed it to me this morning. That's why he gets the credit. I don't know the sefer at all, but I will look up the Chidah. I have the Chidah. I have to see what the Chidah writes about it. It seems.
Okay.
Okay.
Now this is very long, so.
That's good. We ended. That's a good place to end it right there on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he just goes to say that it's literal. It's not figuratively speaking. It's literal, meaning it is, literal, the
Right.
meaning in Hebrew. And that's why they can take it from the original Hebrew and tell you what's literal because it says it in the Hebrew. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So the whole werewolf and vampire thing that we grew up watching on TV, even back then, they did what they do now with the movies is they put the truth right there in front of you.
Yeah, it's
So
just a
they've been
little truth is stranger than fiction, right?
so they've been doing that for a very long time now. I understand that. Just when you thought you knew everything, you learn something new every day. Susie. Do you have any
Right.
questions, Steve?
Not really. I feel like I'm still behind on this whole show tonight.
We'll catch you up while I'm eating
It's
cheesy
kind of complicated.
gelatos.
It's hard to, but it just kind of goes. It went from the Greek gods, uh, and the gods, and then it went on up into ended up with the werewolves. So the first hour, Steve was like kind of leading up to the werewolves, and then the second part was the werewolf.
We have had cryptids on this planet for
From
a
the begin,
very long
yeah,
time. From
a
the
lot
beginning.
longer.
From
Yeah,
the beginning. Yeah.
right.
It's not something new, apparently. Apparently, it's not something new.
Did
They've
you talk
just
about
been,
skinwalkers?
Well, no, there are parts in the Bible that talk about shapeshifters and,
mhm.
stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
uh, yeah, because like when we first started, we did a show on that once when they were talking about how the snake walked into
Yeah.
the Garden of Eden,
Well,
and snakes don't
that's the
walk;
tribe
they
of
swim.
Dan. Yeah.
Yeah, so they were
Yeah.
reptilians,
Yes.
which from what I'm to understand and anything I've seen, now they have been here for millions and millions and millions of years. So
Well, yeah. Well, because the original false god is a reptile type dragon looking being. So that's why his descendants, his hybrids with the humans, okay, with Adam and Eve, have some of them, have that animal. Some of them are werewolves, some of them are reptilians, and some of them look more human. Some of them, they're not all, you know, werewolves, and they're not all reptilian, but some of them come out that way. You know,
that might be what's happening with my eye, Susie. I think I am getting a sty in my eye. I thought maybe I heard it when I was in my sleep, but I think I'm getting a sty
just
in
have
my
to get some warm washcloth and just
yeah.
wash, because all it is your pore is clogged with oil. So if you just put some warm wash rag on there and clean it really, really good, it'll go
You
away.
just smack my eye really hard and see what
No, just
happens.
just
No,
clean the
no, you'll pour your
clean the
backlog
eyelid.
in.
Just clean it real good with warm water and a rag.
No more patches. No more patches on my eye. No, no.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's see what we got. Oh, we have tomorrow night. We have Susie's friend Larry coming on. Sounds like a very interesting person. I can't wait to meet him. He was one who wasn't he a pastor, Susie? And
Yes, his
he
dad's pastor. He's a pastor, and he started reading the Bible and he started figuring stuff out. And he was like, "Oh no, I can't do this no more." Right?
yeah, see
Yeah.
it.
So
A lot of
he
things.
started finding out stuff.
Yeah, when you start figuring it out and finding out, it's kind of depressing in a way because we're all brought up in different aspects of a church. I was brought up in a Catholic church, even went to a Catholic school when I was younger.
Same
They're
with me.
for that year, so I'm kind of wondering what's going on. I remember getting dressed in a uniform and going to school, but I don't remember much that happened there. But it's one of those things where kind of really makes you think, well, this is what I've learned, this is what I know, this is what, and it makes it hard for me because there are a lot of people that are very spiritual, and that's the way to take it. You're spiritual, how you feel, how you decide to praise the Father. Okay, that's what it's about. It's not about a lot of the things. Now I understand why Suzy said, God said to her, forget everything that you learned and let me teach you.
It's Yahuwah, father of Yeshua.
No,
Correct?
Yahuwah is a name for Osiris.
Okay, so Brenda told me Yahuwah was God.
No, that's the other one is Osiris, Suzy, the one that everybody uses that you hate.
No,
Yahuwah.
one of the names for Osiris is Yahuwah.
Are you
Yes.
sure?
Yes, positive.
So I was talking with Brenda the other night, and I was just saying,
Okay, look,
God,
the real God would never have a name. Okay, so if it's named, it's a god. It's a false god.
Okay.
If it's named, or it's human, or it's a lord, or it's an angel, or it's something.
Okay.
Okay, so
I'm here to learn. That's why.
So then that takes away some of the teachings of the Ethiopian Bible.
See here where I wrote, I don't know if you see it. It says Ahua is Osiris.
It says what?
It's Osiris. It's another name for Osiris because he was Osiris. I don't know if you can see this map that I drew. It's kind of like in the Middle East. Osiris ruled in this area, Baal in this area, and Ashtaroth in this area, and they would call him Yahuwah. That's what they call Osiris, the god Osiris. The Egyptian god. So that's another name for him.
Yahweh is the bad god.
Yahweh is Cain, which is from what I understand. Yeah, these are all gods, gods, lords. Yeah. So it's just there's so many different names, and it's so confusing, and that's why people have struggled with trying to figure out who's God. That's why I kind of joke about Yahoo, because it's like Yah is God. So who is God? Yahoo. Who is he? Which one is he this week or last week or the week before? Like, is Zeus God? Is Yahweh God, or is Jehovah God this time? Or which one is Elohim God this week, or Osiris, or you know what I'm saying? It's like, who's president this week?
Too many chiefs, not enough Indians. There you go. That's my thought on it. Too many chiefs, not enough Indians. Yeah. Tomorrow night, we are going to start the show at 8 o'clock Central Time, just so that Suzy can go through this show with Larry and still have enough time to go to sleep, because she's got to leave out early Saturday to go to the
horsey show.
The horsey show. The horsey show. And you posted a very pretty picture of your girl on Facebook yesterday.
Yeah, the one where she's sticking her tongue out.
And she was just standing there like she was posing for the camera. You must have gave her did you give her a horsey cookie?
I don't know if I gave her that one that at that time, but she's probably saying, "Where's my cookie?" She stuck her tongue out at me.
Where's my cookie?
I like to spoil her with cookies. Horsey cookies, yeah.
She's a little spitfire. She's red. She's a little spitfire. She stands in the sun. She glows. They
She got a
always
lot of
say redheads are
personality.
spitfires. She does.
Oh
I need to come and play with little itty bitty horsey. That little
yeah.
jerk. Little jerk, is that what you call him?
Fart man, little fart man, because he's a little
Little fart
fart.
man.
Yeah.
I need to bring him some apples. It's gonna be
Yeah,
my
he's about as big as a Great Dane, but he thinks he is a big stallion. And he fights with the big stallions and tries to act like he's the boss. And
You haven't
you know,
went and gilded him, huh?
it's a
Maybe you
little
should.
miniature.
Maybe you should think
He's
about it. Maybe he'll lose that little spit and become people's friends instead of being mean.
he is something else, I tell you. I've had him since he was a baby, and yeah, he's the boss. He's the
How
boss.
old is he now?
I see. I got him back in 2010.
Oh my
So
goodness.
yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna have to come make friends with him really fast.
16. Oh, he'll probably live to be about 40, like Donkey did. Donkey was 40.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Donkey was an old fart, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Goodness me. I am starving and I have to have Jack put me something and make me something to eat because I ate at 11 o'clock this afternoon or this morning and I have had nothing since because I passed out and went to sleep and woke up time to get ready for the show. And then I thought I got up too early because my eyes bothered me, so I didn't want to put any makeup on and mess with it.
Oh, yeah. Just clean that eye really good with some warm
Yeah,
water. And right.
because I didn't know
But
what was
you know
going
what I
on
was
with
going to say, Brenda, real quick? I was
my.
just thinking, um, just kind of to kind of finish on this thought or whatever, that it, what are we, when we're always watching Hollywood and the movies and the industry, right?
Yeah.
It's always that emphasis toward this type of activity that we just talked about.
And you always see the old photographs of people in Hollywood that look like they do now. What if what they're saying is true? They
Yeah.
actually are people that are actors and actresses that we see. What if they actually are vampires?
For instance,
Well,
Nicolas Cage
yeah.
just came out with the Nosferatu movie, but he also has those old pictures that look very similar to him from like
And
200 years ago.
yeah, and even though they look like some of them, well, not all of them, but some of them look like they age right in front of us. Well, we know how Hollywood does things. So think
They're trying to
about it.
grow.
I mean, I've met and ran into a lot of different movie stars and uh, singers, and then it's like all of a sudden they do a few good movies and they go away. We don't live 100 years or so, people, so we don't know if they're coming back into our lives out of nowhere. You know, they
This
wait
is
200
true,
years before they start making appearances again. It's,
right?
it's really, really strange. So, if this has been going on since the day of dawn, werewolves and vampires and stuff like that walking on this earth with Adam, starting with Adam and Eve,
Yep. That's
then
what
it
it
is
started with.
possible that all those old photographs that people see of actors and actresses from way back in the day and say, oh, they look just like them. It must be in
But
their
but
genes. No, what if they
but I
really are vampires?
but I wanted to also emphasize that's okay. So Jacob had 12 sons, right? So not all of those sons were like had that curse or whatever. So like some of the tribes out of those 12 families, they did. It was just like the Benjamites were going to be the werewolves, or the tribe of Dan. That family, they would end up being the snake people. Okay, so they're not all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just certain bloodlines. So that might be why, maybe the government is looking for certain ancestry, certain bloodlines to see if, you know what I'm saying? Looking for that particular bloodline, that, you know, that particular ancestry, because if it's in that ancestry, then they know that their children or whatever could be, born like that, you know? And not all of them would be born, but some of them would be. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
Benjamites, everything in the story of the Bible about the Benjamites, they, you know, later on they went and they raped this woman and that came to town, and then she died, and the other families, they went out there and they like nearly wiped out all the Benjamites. That's what he was talking about when the first war of the werewolves. They only left a few of the men left, and then they allowed those men to kidnap women and to marry them. That's really what happened. They, you know, I don't think you'd want to marry a werewolf, you know, intentionally. You know, shoot.
So we had, let's get this right. So we had reptilians, we had werewolves, we had giants.
Yeah, and you have the goats. Remember the goats, and that's the horned the goat people. The you have the that's why their horns they're coming out with the horns, you know.
And now we have Bigfoot and Dogman and every other cryptid out there.
And then the other thing that was interesting about what they were talking about was the father had some kind of medicine, or the family knew what they could give them to keep them from turning into that werewolf, or maybe turning into that reptilian, or maybe turning into that goat.
Which is the same thing that they give the actors and actresses nowadays to keep them from aging.
They had some kind of medicine to keep them from switching.
Tomato soup.
Well, that keeps them human once they do switch. Once they switch over, then to come back, they have to have human. Yeah.
I found out I had a picture of Moses.
With the horns?
And the horns are there.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah,
you have that picture?
I know.
Oh.
I've seen some really, really old ones, and you know they have them. They're on Noah. They're on Moses. They're just everywhere. And you know, at first I thought to myself, okay, wait a minute, let's look at this at a different angle. Maybe, just maybe, those horns mean a high regard. Maybe they mean not something so bad. Because if you look at most of them, they're like rams, you know.
Yeah, they're goats, all right. They're turning into goats.
I was trying to give the goat a benefit of the doubt. I guess. I don't know.
There's a new meaning, just separating the sheep from the goats, right?
Right.
But now we're more well aware, and it's not just decoration or artists like creative license. Like, this is something that's being told visually to us, and it's very important. So for us to address it now, I think, is perfect time, because just like Brenda said, I wasn't even considering that he had horns. I thought, like, oh, that's just like a different artist rendition of it. But here it's right in my face in that front cover of that book. Can't look away from it.
Yeah, Under Fire. I have to go back and watch PRT's show that they did on that. But yeah, we went back into different Hebrew stuff also, different books, books that were taken out. We found a lot of stuff. It was great. You need to watch the beginning later when you get a chance. But yeah, it really brings a lot of different things to light. And like I said, you know, it's not that we would want to put anybody's beliefs down, because everybody believes what they're taught to believe. And honestly, I think you should believe from here. I think your heart should tell you what is good and what is not. And it is, when you find that good in your heart, it's a feeling that is just incredible. So when I was reading books, Bibles, or anything like that, I didn't feel that. But when I put things down and started to speak to the Father myself and just sit and take things into perspective for my own self, using my own mind to think, it felt better, you know? I mean, I knew the Catholic religion, they were some whacked crap because I put up with some crap from them. And I could never understand why going to church was supposed to be a family thing and the whole entire family is separated. I figured that out when I was like 6, 7 years old. I was like,
That's pretty sharp
why
at
am
6. Yeah.
why am I way over here and my mom's behind that glass over there?
You know what I
They're all
didn't like?
in the middle. What is this?
When I
What?
was in Catholic school, we'd go to church as a class, and we weren't allowed to sit with anybody. We had to stay within our class. And I
Yeah,
just thought that was really weird. Like
yeah,
like you mentioned, like why can't we all just sit together?
right.
But they wanted to be all organized and everything. I never did any of the altar boy services, and my classmates that did, I don't think anything nefarious happened with them, but you never know.
Yeah.
But
I
from
mean,
what I have seen and heard, I don't think anything went down over here, thankfully.
well, I can't, I can't say that. I can't say that. I've seen a lot of things wrong, even going to a Catholic school. I've seen a lot of things that were wrong. So, when I think about it now as an adult, I think to myself that there shouldn't have been a grown man going into a bathroom with another little boy to help them,
No,
and I think to myself now, wait a minute, that's that wasn't right. That was not right. Why that little boy would cry anytime he got left there. That wasn't right. So some things just, what do they say? If I would have known then what I know now, I would have said something, you know, whether it would have got me in trouble or what have you, but I still would have said it. I said a lot of things that I disagreed with when I was younger, and I found myself in trouble a lot. I was the grounding queen, okay? I was used to it. but but yeah, so it just really makes you think. I mean, when they brought that up about Adam and Eve and the tree being man and the fruit bearing
Being the child.
fruit
Yeah.
bearing being the child, and it really makes you think, well, what the heck were they eating? Well, that explained it. So that was
Yeah.
kind of definitely definitely different.
I wanted
So
to make a comment too about the heart. You were saying, about the heart. I have this, theory, okay, that the Holy Trinity, okay, is actually your mind, your heart, and your gut. And
yes,
when all three agree, then you're in alignment with the truth.
right,
But
right,
if your mind, because the Bible says that the heart is deceitfully wicked above all things. And then we just read where the heart is cursed because of what Adam and Eve did. There's a curse in the heart. And the heart sometimes wants things that it shouldn't have.
right,
Or it okay. So the heart, you can't trust the heart. It's good and evil, right? We okay. So but the mind, come, says the Lord, let us reason together. Within your mind, you sit down and you reason and you think things out, right? So with your mind, and then your gut is that God inner knowing feeling, or you get that bad foreboding feeling, like, okay, or you get that good happy feeling in the gut, and that's kind of God saying yes or no. So when you think and you reason with God and you follow God, then your heart will choose the right thing. Okay, you won't choose that wicked evil thing. Okay, so that's the Trinity. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Oh, Under Fire, you would be so good to come on here when we have these shows and talk with us. That would be pretty awesome. You hit on some good points.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I'd like to hear more
It's just a
about that.
matter of, putting all the pieces together, huh, guys? It's just one
Yeah.
puzzle piece at a time, right?
Well, Under Fire, I do see you on other shows myself in the chat. So when we're getting ready to do a show like this again, we'll you know what? What are we doing tomorrow night, Susie? Aren't we talking about some of the same stuff tomorrow night?
Yeah, well, if Under Fire wants to come on tomorrow, because we're gonna have Larry on, and he's gonna be talking
Yeah.
about biblical stuff.
Yes. And Larry
Yeah.
was a pastor. His dad was a pastor. He's a pastor. So yeah, that might be good. So tomorrow, Under Fire, when we go to do this show, if you go ahead and just key up when you're on there, I can stick the link in so that you can come on and join us, and we can all have another discussion on all different angles. We like different angles. We do. We find other angles. We like other angles, and it's always good to, because these places are not going to teach us the truth. It is up to us to learn the truth ourselves, and that's just the way it is with everything that we do in life. We have to learn the truth for ourselves because we've been lied to for so long, and they've gotten so good at it. And there are a lot of us that just aren't taking that crap anymore. And we're just going to figure it out ourselves. They're not going to be any help to us. So we might as well just do it on our own. So, but we've been going for 10.5 hours, y'all. And we will be here tomorrow night at 8 o'clock Central. Usually I like to catch Abe's show after this one, but apparently he did one early tonight. So that didn't happen.
Oh.
But yeah, he did one early tonight. Well, I think he does sometimes.
Probably because he probably did a late one last night. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. We hope that you enjoyed all the videos that we showed about this stuff and Susie's knowledge. So we are going to get out of here for the night because my sugar's dropping and this girl needs to eat. So I'm going to go tear something up. I don't know what yet. I think my milk is bad. I think I was told my milk is bad, so I can't make the tomato soup. Dang it. Go to bed, John. I'll call you in the morning and wake your butt up. So we are going to say good night, y'all. And like always, please be kind.
Good night, everybody. God bless.
Goodbye for now, from Beyond the Box.
Please join us again for Beyond the Box, Friday and Saturday evenings, from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. Central, 10 p.m. to midnight Eastern. Join us for more intel bombs from our extraordinary guests.
Good night, Putin. Good night, Tucker.